You know, when we hear the term AI, we almost immediately picture this pristine, weightless magic living entirely in a place we call the cloud. It sounds completely ethereal, doesn't it? Well, in this explainer, we're going to uncover the truth. There is no cloud. Actually, scratch that. It's more like there are only sprawling, heavy, incredibly resource hungry industrial facilities right here on Earth. Every single time you casually ask an AI to draft a quick email, write a report, or generate a funny image, you are kicking off a massive chain reaction of physical infrastructure. Today, we're exposing the hidden earthly realities behind your everyday AI prompts. Let's get right into it. Look at this number, 17 billion. According to a 2024 report from the U.S. Department of Energy, that is the exact number of gallons of water consumed by U.S. data centers in a single year. And because of the explosive proliferation of AI servers, this isn't just leveling off. The Department of Energy forecasts that this water usage is going to absolutely skyrocket to nearly 80 billion gallons by the year 2028. We are talking about a staggering amount of our planet's most vital resource being pumped just to keep our digital brains functioning. And if you want to understand the sheer scale of what's happening right now, you really just have to follow the money. Major tech companies are projected to spend an astonishing $650 billion on AI data centers in the year 2026 alone. This isn't some distant long-term R&D budget. This is capital being aggressively deployed right now, today, to build massive physical footprints. A $650 billion investment signals a fundamental rewiring of our entire global infrastructure. Okay, let's dive into this and see exactly why AI demands so much infrastructure. We have to look at the power draw. A traditional server rack, the kind that runs normal websites and basic cloud storage, draws about 12 kilowatts of power. But modern AI racks, they are ultra-dense and they are drawing anywhere from 85 kilowatts up to a staggering 250 kilowatts per rack as computing needs increase. AI doesn't just need a little more power, it requires a fundamentally different, massive scale of electrical draw. Because of those ultra-dense racks, global data center electricity demand is projected to basically triple. The International Energy Agency projects that by 2030, data centers will demand 945 terawatt-hours of electricity. To put that massive number into perspective, that means data centers could consume roughly 1.5 to 3% of the entire world's electrical power. We're talking about a single industry taking up a highly noticeable, massive slice of global energy generation in just a few short years. Gigawatts and terawatt hours can be a little hard to wrap your head around, so let's translate that into something much more relatable. According to estimates from the IEA, some of the absolute largest AI data centers currently under construction will consume as much power as 2 million households. Just think about that for a second. A single massive AI facility requires the electrical footprint of a major metropolitan city. It's almost hard to believe. This creates a really startling juxtaposition. We view AI as this ultimate technology of the future, right? Yet it's actually forcing us to rely heavily on the energy sources of the past. Currently, 40% of US data center electricity is supplied by natural gas. The demand is so intense that energy companies are actively being forced to reactivate obsolete fossil fuel peaker power plants just to handle the load. And for truly massive upcoming mega projects, places like xAI's Colossus or OpenAI's Stargate, developers are literally building their own off-grade natural gas plants just to guarantee they have enough juice. But honestly, getting the power into the building is only half the battle. The other half? Dealing with the consequences. Incredibly, nearly 90% of the electrical power pumped into these AI chips, like GPUs, ultimately turns into waste heat. It creates a massive secondary energy crisis right inside the building. Just keeping the machines from literally melting down means that cooling systems account for 40 to 50% of an AI data center's entire energy consumption. For a long time, the industry just relied on traditional air cooling. That means literally blowing highly chilled air into server rooms to keep the equipment functioning. It's cost efficient, and it's totally reliable for normal servers. But for those incredibly power-hungry AI accelerators we just talked about, simply blowing cold air is highly inefficient. It's just no longer enough to manage the extreme heat density of modern AI racks. Let's move to and see how this builds into new engineering solutions. To solve this thermal crisis, the industry is rapidly adopting direct liquid cooling. So instead of trying to cool the air around the machine, cold plates and microchannels are mounted directly onto the CPUs and GPUs. Coolant is circulated directly to the absolute hottest parts of the chip, extracting that heat right at the source. It's much more effective, and it allows developers to pack way more computational power into a significantly smaller space. But for the absolute highest densities, sometimes even direct liquid cooling isn't enough. And that brings us to immersion cooling, which really represents the extreme engineering required today. Entire servers are physically submerged into specialized dielectric fluids. Essentially, these are liquids that capture waste heat, but they don't conduct electricity, so they won't short out the electronics. It sounds completely like science fiction, literally drowning electronics in liquid to keep them working, but it's becoming a highly necessary innovation to keep these powerful AI clusters operational. As these massive, hyperdense facilities are built, the impact is quickly moving out of the server room and directly into local communities. Take Amazon's Project Rainier in Indiana, for example. It's an $11 billion facility spanning 1,200 acres of farmland. To construct it, millions of gallons of groundwater were pumped out, and state officials are currently investigating whether this process actually led to residential wells running dry in the area. In Michigan, when Saline Township rejected a proposed OpenAI Oracle data center, developers and landowners actually sued the town, ultimately acquiring the land through a settlement. We are seeing very real friction as digital expansion meets our physical constraints. The tactics used to expand this infrastructure are also generating some significant public debate. Reports showed tech developers utilizing shell companies to acquire land quietly and asking public officials and landowners to sign non-disclosure agreements, which essentially limits public transparency. In places like Michigan, they've secured state tax breaks for construction materials. There have also been instances where public utility commissions approved massive power allocations for AI data centers through ex parte motions, basically meaning the approvals went through without an opportunity for public input. So the crucial point is, this corporate expansion isn't just a local zoning issue, it is actively impacting your wallet. Over in Washington, senators are investigating the effects of these companies' operations on consumer energy bills, citing very real concerns that taking up so much grid capacity will lead to higher household utility costs. Furthermore, because AI data centers are devouring up to 40% of the world's entire DRAM output, we are facing major component shortages, and that could soon make everyday smart devices significantly more expensive for all of us. This brings us to a very real, very pressing roadblock. With our electrical grid stressed to the absolute breaking point, local communities pushing back, and vast amounts of water required just to keep the lights on, the tech industry is facing a massive geographic crisis. We are quite literally running out of easy places to put these massive computing hubs, which raises a huge question. Where on Earth do we put them next? Well, one fascinating earthbound solution currently being explored is called agrivoltaics. This is the practice of co-locating solar energy production directly on active farmland. According to a recent study, you wouldn't actually need to pave over the whole country to make this work. By installing solar panels on just 0.5% of U.S. farmland and using trackers spaced out enough so that conventional farm equipment, like tractors, can still easily operate right underneath them, we could theoretically produce all the energy needed to power U.S. data centers with clean, renewable solar power. But some tech leaders aren't looking to build on Earth at all. Welcome to this space race for AI. And this brilliantly illustrates just how far the industry is willing to go. Billionaires like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk are actively looking into bringing data centers to space to utilize the unlimited, unfiltered solar energy available in orbit. OpenAI's Sam Altman has even explored deals to build competitors to SpaceX just to get this hardware up there. As incredible as it sounds, some experts suggest we could actually see the first operational AI data centers in orbit as early as 2027. So, we leave you with this final thought. We've traced the invisible cost of AI from billions of gallons of water and reviving obsolete fossil fuel plants, all the way to community lawsuits, higher utility bills, and the literal race to put servers in space. The physical toll of the cloud is very real, and it is very heavy. So, the next time you hit enter on an AI prompt to generate a quick email or a fun image, consider everything that's happening in the background. Is that instant digital convenience really worth the massive planetary cost? Thank you so much for joining us for this explainer, and we'll see you next time.